Anna Marie, also known as Rogue, is the daughter of Owen and Priscilla, a hippie couple who lived in Caldecott County, Mississippi. Due to her peculiar lifestyle, Anna's mother disappeared when she was little, so her Aunt Carrie took charge of taking care of her, although she used to be very strict with her niece. Anna became a rebellious young woman, and her constant conflicts with her father and aunt led her to flee her home, in addition to earning the nickname, Rogue. After running away from home, Rogue began dating a boy named Cody Robbins. Upon kissing him, Anna's mutant power was activated, which consisted of absorbing the life energy and psyche of the people with whom she had body-to-body contact. The boy was left in a coma due to his power, which caused him severe trauma. From this experience, Anna began to wear clothes that completely concealed her body to avoid accidental contact with another person. Not long after, Rogue was recruited by Mystique, who raised her as her daughter with her romantic partner Destiny. Both villains trained Rogue and tricked her into joining the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. On her first mission with the Brotherhood, Rogue encountered Ms. Marvel, and the two had a cruel battle where the mutant absorbed Carol's powers and psyche. Due to the extraterrestrial nature of Ms. Marvel's powers, they did not disappear instantly as with her other victims. Carol fell into a coma, while Anna was sent to destroy the Avengers. Using Ms. Marvel's strength, stamina, and ability to fly, Rogue managed to confront and absorb the powers of Captain America and Thor. After this, the Brotherhood of Mutants went to Riker Island to free Destiny, but they were defeated by the Avengers and only Rogue and Mystique managed to escape. Rogue continued to be a villain and faced the X-Men on several occasions, and developed a rivalry with the mutant Dazzler, as she was jealous of the singer's fame and lifestyle. Over time, Rogue began to suffer from severe headaches caused by Ms. Marvel's consciousness lying within her mind. Desperate, the mutant turned to Professor X and the X-Men. Charles helped her block Carol's psyche, and upon seeing into her mind, he noticed that Anna was not evil, so he invited her to join the X-Men despite the team's refusals. Over time, Rogue became a valuable member of the team and managed to gain the trust of her teammates. Mystique, who saw Rogue as her own daughter, decided to go to the mansion to rescue her, believing that Professor X had brainwashed her. Anna confronted her and assured her that she joined the X-Men of her own free will, which angered Mystique. During an incident with Juggernaut, Rogue was reunited with her old rival Dazzler, and the two had to work together to defeat the villain. Cyclops' wife Madeline was kidnapped by the Press Gang, an anti-mutant gang. Rogue and Wolverine tried to save her, but were also captured. The villain Wipeout took away their powers. Rogue was stripped of her clothes and abused by several of the organization's men. Humiliated, Anna allowed Carol Danvers' psyche to take over her body, and using her Air Force training, she escaped and saved Logan. Due to this event, Ms. Marvel's personality began to take over Rogue's mind. She used to take control of Anna's body and destroy her belongings as a kind of revenge for what she had done to her. After regaining control, Rogue confronted Master Mold and Nimrod while carrying Carol Danvers' old suit in a battle where she apparently lost her life. In reality, Rogue was stripped of her powers and was stranded in the Savage Land, where she was taken in by Magneto. She began to feel a certain attraction for Eric, but it all ended when the latter killed the priestess of Tierra Salvaje. Rogue traveled to Muir Island, where she fell under the control of King Sombra. Upon regaining her powers, she and the X-Men defeated King Sombra, and she rejoined the team. During this conflict, he had his first encounter with the new X-Man named Gambit, while both were under the influence of King Sombra. Farouk's uninhibited and corrupting influence led them to have an intimate encounter. When the mind control ended, Gambit remembered their encounter, but Rogue did not, which began their peculiar relationship. Despite the circumstances of their first meeting, Rogue and Gambit were immediately attracted to each other and quickly began dating. Rogue and Gambit's relationship was often strained, largely thanks to her inability to control her absorption power and his dishonesty. Around this time it was discovered that Mystique was Nightcrawler's biological mother, so Rogue began to see him as her brother. During an invasion by aliens from another dimension, Rogue begged Sage to use her powers to evolve her to the point where she could completely control her mutant abilities. Sage agreed, and Rogue became a one-woman army, capable of using the powers of anyone she had absorbed in the past. Unfortunately, Anna lost these new abilities after the invasion ended. After this, Rogue and Gambit lost their powers and both left the X-Men. It was not until a subsequent encounter with Sage and Bishop that they regained their powers. However, Anna no longer possessed the skills she had absorbed from Ms. Marvel. Rogue and Gambit broke up, but when Anna discovered that the mutant Fox was seducing Remy, she decided to confront her. Fox was actually Mystique, who was trying to separate Rogue and Gambit since she didn't believe the latter was right for her daughter. Because Mystique helped them in the past, the X-Men voted and decided to give her a place on the team, which upset the couple. Rogue led her own team of X-Men to defeat the Children of the Vault. In a subsequent fight with the villain Pandemic, Anna was infected with a virus called Strain 88, which altered her powers, causing her to gain the ability to kill anyone with a single touch. During a fight with Hecatome, Rogue absorbed the psyches of 8 billion entities, thus gaining access to Destiny's diaries. During this arc, it is discovered that Mystique was working for Mr. Sinister all this time. The villain kept Rogue alive to gain access to the journals inside her mind. Gambit, who had rejoined the Marauders and Mr. Sinister, became protective of Rogue and attempted to wake her up repeatedly. During Messiah Complex, the X-Men attacked the Marauders' base to rescue Hope Summers, the first mutant baby born after M-Day. To avoid being caught, Mr. Sinister took the baby to Muir Island, where Mystique and Gambit were caring to Rogue. The villain claimed that the girl would never wake up again and would eventually die. Raven did not accept this and brought Sinister closer to Rogue's body, causing her to become unconscious after touching her. Mystique, following the words of the Fate Diaries, placed the baby's face in direct contact with Rogue's, with the understanding that Rogue would wake up from her coma. The baby was unaffected by Rogue's power, and she woke up shortly after. Realizing that her mother had put the baby's life at risk, Anna touched Mystique and completely absorbed her powers and her mother's psyche. She decided to leave for a while and asked Gambit not to follow her. Sometime later, Professor X discovered that Rogue's powers had never fully developed, as she unconsciously blocked her powers every time she absorbed a person. Charles broke down these mental walls, allowing Rogue to gain full control of her powers, so she could now touch other people without the risk of absorbing their psyche. Anna took the opportunity and kissed Gambit. After the events of Age of X, Gambit and Rogue separated again as Anna's feelings for Magneto had been rekindled. She went to see Eric to talk about her past, and they both ended up sleeping together, although this ended up being a recurring love affair without reaching anything concrete. After the big fight between Wolverine and Cyclops, the X-Men split up. Rogue had a lot of trouble deciding whether to stay in Utopia or go to Westchester with Logan. She ultimately decided to go to Westchester because of her love of helping and teaching children. She and Magneto agreed to stay in touch as they continued their long-distance relationship. During the events of Avengers vs. X-Men, Rogue decided to stay out of the conflict. She-Hulk, who had been sent to guard the school, mistook some students for monsters and proceeded to attack them. Annoyed, Anna confronted her and defeated several Avengers. This made her understand that she could not stay out of this conflict. After Cyclops, Colossus, Magic, Namor, and Emma Frost became the Phoenix's guests, Rogue agreed to help them in their campaign to improve the world, but discovered that Ms. Marvel and the other Avengers had been locked in limbo. Here they were forced to fight against their worst nightmares. Rogue was horrified, so she decided to ally with the Avengers and the rebel X-Men to defeat the Phoenix Five. Due to the destruction caused by the crazed Cyclops, Captain America formed the Avengers Unity Squad made up of both Avengers and X-Men. Rogue joined the team and became a pillar of it. During a conflict with the Apocalypse Twins, Rogue absorbed the powers of most of Earth's Avengers and X-Men, which caused her to begin to lose her sanity. Scarlet Witch used her magic to return the powers to their respective owners, although Wonder Man's abilities remained within her. After Cap aged, Rogue agreed to be the leader of a new version of the Uncanny Avengers, which faced the Red Skull, who had implanted part of Charles Xavier's brain. Following the dissolution of the Squadron Division, Rogue was called in alongside Iceman to lead the X-Men and the Xavier Institute after Kitty Pryde was arrested due to the machinations of anti-mutant activist Lydia Nance. During this time, the romance between Rogue and Gambit was rekindled and the two married shortly after. During their honeymoon, they both had several conflicts with the Sheer and Mojo, but in the end they managed to escape safely. During the Age of Krakoa, Rogue joined the X-Men for a time. After Beast's betrayal and several incidents, humanity once again rejected the mutants, so Captain America formed a new Unity Squad lineup, and after he was injured in a fight, Rogue was chosen to lead this team. With the fall of X about to reach its conclusion, we only have to see what the future holds for the fan-favorite mutant.